And recording.
Why, hello.
I give up. Why?
Well, it's good to acknowledge the beginning of a conversation.
Well, yeah,
say,
but
hey,
I mean,
I'm ready to talk now.
But with a question? Why? Why? Why hello?
Well, that was just more of a turn of phrase, Greg. That
Okay,
was people...
I feel like we're really starting this off kind of a weird way. Maybe we should go back to the regular introduction that we normally do.
Okay.
For this podcast.
Here it goes.
Okay.
Welcome to the show!
Whoa.
Lettuce. Yeah. Is that our normal way of doing it?
Yeah, that's good. No, I didn't know if you were doing it or if I were doing it, but then you had the rock and roll beginning. Go ahead.
Yeah,
do the whole rock and roll beginning. I like it. Go ahead.
Welcome to the show.
Wow, it's not rock and roll.
Rock and roll. And let's keep on rocking in the free world.
Man. Welcome to
breaking
two guys
the law, breaking the law,
talking about the Lettuce Podcast.
Yes.
Two guys talking about the Lettuce Podcast. My name is Gregory Benson.
My name is Craig Benzine, and it's actually just two guys talking about lettuce. We're not talking about the podcast that we're making.
I beg to differ. I think we have been. I think the past minute or two we have been.
In fact, every episode we probably do talk about the podcast in some form.
It's so meta. Yeah, it's just so meta.
It really is. That's what you do when you have nothing else to say.
Man,
it's really.
I think that's fine. And listen, it's good that we're talking about the podcast because I will tell you, a lot of people have been talking about the podcast lately. We have several new reviews that I would like to read. Some reviews which I think are terrific 5-star reviews. I want to thank everybody for these reviews. Island Girl.
Now, are you rating these reviews 5 stars, or are these 5 stars rating us 5?
These are reviewers who rated the podcast 5 stars.
Okay.
Island Girl 1 rated 5 stars and said, hang on a second. Let me go back to the beginning here.
I'm just going to drink this coffee real quick.
Leah rated this 5 stars and said, look forward to listening every week. So much wisdom. Thank you, Leah. She says, great listen. The second one, it says, great podcast. 5 stars from Bobby Stopholes. So many varied artists covered, and the interviewers are so knowledgeable. Highly recommend. Thank you so much, Bobby. And then
this
finally,
doesn't sound like our podcast.
Island Girl 1 says, please make more. She said, rates 5 stars and says, just discovered this pod and I love it. I've followed Bethany for years and I'm awed by her talents. This is a voice that must be heard. Thank you, Island Girl 1.
Who is Bethany? Who are they talking about?
I don't know. These are just reviews that I saw. I went to Apple Podcasts and I just clicked on a podcast and I just started reading the reviews and I'm like, these are really good reviews and I need to read these.
Yeah. Okay. So they're not reviews for our podcast.
I'm not sure about that because they don't seem to apply. Like the first one does. I mean, look forward to listening every week. So much wisdom from Leah. That seems to apply to us.
I think if you logging into Apple Podcasts and clicking randomly to find reviews, it's very, very unlikely that you would land on our podcast.
I mean, our podcast is one of the ones that I follow. I do follow our podcast.
Yeah. Okay, but I was assuming you just went to like the front page where they have they recommend podcasts, and then you clicked. Did you go to the podcasts you follow?
I think I was exploring other podcasts just to see what else is out there.
Oh, so then I
found all these really positive reviews.
Zero that it would be ours because you were actively not going to our podcast.
Oh, that's correct. Yes. But listen, you'll have to admit the reviews are excellent.
Okay, they're pretty good. I mean, they're not really any mind-blowingly good.
They're very positive.
They are positive reviews.
Why don't you get on the podcast app right now and read some more reviews?
All right, I'll go find some reviews.
Yeah,
but they did seem these reviews they were pretty brief and not very descriptive. They were just kind of like, oh, good show, Bethany or whatever.
Well, I mean, like I personally don't remember having Bethany on, and I don't know who Bethany is.
Yeah, again, but this wasn't for our podcast because you actually tried not to make it for our podcast. So
I don't think I wouldn't say I tried. I'm just saying that certain things happened which led to this conclusion.
Okay, sure.
Are you looking now at reviews? You should find
I'm
some
looking
good
for
reviews.
reviews. I went to an NPR podcast, but it was all the reviews seemed a little too political, so I clicked away.
Oh, yeah.
But
I hate when our listeners get political. I mean, we try not to be political on our podcast.
No,
so
it's not
I don't like when our
listeners.
listeners get all political.
No, not all reviews are for us, Greg. They're for other podcasts.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Craig.
Who knew? I found these podcasts to be very interesting and informative. It's refreshing to know that there are people out there who care enough to inform us of interesting facts that fuel our brains rather than the typical trash that floods us daily.
Oh, my God. See, now that's so great because we try not to make typical trash. We try to make atypical trash.
Unique trash, yes.
Yeah. Let's make this trash as unique as possible.
Uh-huh.
By the way, I would
What's in your trash lately, Greg?
Oh, I will tell you this because this morning, my trash gets picked up on Mondays and on Monday mornings. And this morning, I'm sitting at breakfast with my family. I don't know if you know this, but I have a
family.
I have a child. I have a wife.
Yeah.
And
no, we don't have to go through that because we know. Yes, I definitely know that.
And I love them very much. I just want to say that. Shout out to them if they listen. I don't know if they do.
Sure.
My son is 7. I don't know if he listens to this podcast.
He probably shouldn't listen. Actually,
no, I don't think he does.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm sitting at breakfast, and what do I hear outside? I'll give you a hint. It's trash day. The trash is picked up by large trucks. What do you think I heard outside?
The trash being
picked up by a trash truck. That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I did hear a trash truck, and I was like, oh, hey, I forgot to put the trash out last night. So I run out and I see that he's picking up the black bin because there's a black bin, there's a blue bin, there's a green bin. I don't know how many bins. There's a lot of colors in the rainbow.
What are they all for?
Well, black is for trash and blue is for recycling. And what do you think green is for?
Compost?
Yeah, compost and lawn trimmings.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, grass, bushes, weeds.
Can you put food in there too?
Food.
Compost?
Yeah, put eggshells if you want.
We do not have that bin in our... We do have a service that comes around occasionally to pick up stuff like that, but not compost.
Man, this was we've
had to pay a separate company to come pick up our compost.
Man,
and we leave the bins outside. The past couple nights, raccoons got in there.
Oh no! See, now that's no good. That's no good.
Yep.
See, the California raccoons are very respectful. They know not to bother the bins. California raccoons are like, okay, unless they put something out on a plate for me, I'm not going to eat it. That's basically what California raccoons are like. Super polite, very well mannered.
A plate. They don't want to soil the ground with food.
Exactly. And I'll tell you something. They are neat eaters. They eat over the plate, because they pick up the stuff with their tiny little claws and they over the plate.
Have you seen this and heard this?
Yeah, every night.
That's the sound they make?
Every night. We put it on a plate with food for raccoons. Yeah. And they go, and they're...
Are you sure that as a raccoon that's doing that? That's going,
It might be my neighbor, Dave.
Okay.
It might be Dave. Now that I think about it, he does like to put on a giant raccoon costume each night. And he eats whatever we leave out for him. Corn on the cob, chicken.
So when you're seeing a giant raccoon eating off of a plate,
it might be Dave.
That might be Dave, but it could still possibly be a raccoon.
Could be a raccoon, might be Dave. You know how Dave is.
It's Dave. It's Dave.
I don't know. It's difficult to distinguish between a very large raccoon and Dave.
You mean a regular raccoon and Dave?
No, a very large raccoon. It would have to be a large, because Dave weighs like 240, 250 pounds, something like that.
Right, yeah. But so then that very large raccoon that you're describing doesn't exist. It's just Dave. There is no...
I mean, that's possible. Who am I to say? I'm not the answer man. I don't have all the answers.
What's Dave's story? Why does he do this? What is going on with Dave?
I think he feels comfortable in the raccoon costume, and he's hungry at night.
Can you give me his backstory? Like, what's going on here with Dave?
Here's the deal. We've never really bothered to talk to Dave because honestly, we're a little afraid of him. I mean, he's weird. He dresses up in a raccoon costume and eats food off the ground.
Right.
Every night.
How did this start? How did you find out that he's
kind of a weirdo,
Yeah.
Well, when we moved in, our neighbor said, by the way, if you want to avoid trouble, put some food out on a plate by your trash cans at night, and you'll avoid trouble. And I was like, what do they mean by that? And the first night, put the food out, then I see this huge raccoon come over and start to eat off the plate.
It's Dave. Yeah, Dave.
And
in a
I
raccoon
said to the
costume.
neighbors, "Did you see that huge raccoon?" They go, "No, that's just Dave."
Okay, so I think you should just assume that every time that it's Dave. Okay, first of all,
okay, it might be one of those California raccoons. I mean, I was talking about them earlier, so they must exist.
Okay, sure, because you said something about them. That
Yeah.
means they exist. Then another question. Then, so have you failed to leave out the food? And if so, what is the trouble that happens? What's the trouble?
One time I did forget to bring out food for Dave, and we woke up the next morning and he'd completely keyed our cars.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Did you sue? Did you?
No, that's fine. We could use the extra keys.
Oh, so what do you mean by keyed your car?
I mean, when people say, "Oh, that's that person just keyed my car," they made like extra keys, and he left us some keys.
See, that doesn't sound like trouble to me. It sounds maybe mildly annoying if you eventually get way too many keys. But
if you think about it, just the fact that your neighbor is letting you know that they have a key to your car, I mean, that's trouble. Because then you're like, well, am I supposed to get my car? Am I supposed to change the keys? I don't know if I want to get them repenned, if you will.
Did you get them?
Nah, it's fine.
So does your car go out? Does your car go missing occasionally?
No. You know why? Because raccoons do not know how to drive.
Right. Again, but Dave is a person.
But I think you're failing to miss the important thing here. He's dressed as a raccoon, and he's in character. And he knows raccoons do not know how to drive.
Oh, yeah. But raccoons know how to make copies of keys? Or do you assume does he take off the costume to make the copies of the keys?
I don't, again, I'm not the answer man. All I know is one night we woke up because we heard a ruckus in the backyard.
Okay.
And Dave was having sex with another raccoon, a real raccoon, in our backyard. Okay. And let me just say, when your
was
neighbor...
Was he in costume?
Yeah, of course he was. Come on, don't be silly.
Okay.
Don't be silly. I'm trying to have a conversation here.
Okay. All right.
When you wake up in the middle of the night and you see Dave having sex with a raccoon in the backyard, you have no idea, first of all, how much noise they make. It's very loud. And how much they just destroy the grass.
No, you're saying they, like, just... raccoons,
Dave
referring to the raccoons and people who have sex with raccoons?
Dave and the raccoon. Yes. My neighbor Dave dresses up as a raccoon and has sex with other raccoons in my backyard, and they destroy the grass. Okay. It is loud and violent, and it doesn't seem like either of them are enjoying it.
Oh no. Yeah. What is this? I feel like this is a moment where you call the cops or you call the authorities.
I misunderstood that because someone told me, "Hey, call the cops," but they were from I guess Boston or something. It sounded like they said, "Call the caps."
Okay.
And so I called out, and then all these baseball caps arrived at the house. And I'm like, well, now what am I supposed to do with...
Who did you call?
I called the caps. And
did you order a bunch of baseball caps?
I threw the baseball caps at Dave and the raccoon, and finally they split up. So it turns out it worked after all. And by the way, I just want to say, this is a 100% true story. I'm not making up any of this.
I mean, of course, we don't write these episodes, so...
I swear to Jesus Christ, this is all true.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
No one needs that. That's okay.
No one needs Jesus Christ? A lot of people do.
Well, maybe they do, but
I think a lot of people are going to be offended by what you just said.
No one needs you to swear to Jesus Christ.
Okay. Well, sometimes people don't know what they need. Anyway,
I think they believe you.
Anyway, let me just wrap up the story and say I threw all the baseball caps at my neighbor Dave and a raccoon. They stopped fucking on my lawn, and they dispersed. I gave Dave a plate of chicken, and everything has been fine since then.
But you still have to. You give him plates of food every day.
I feel like we're done talking about this.
Okay. Well.
That was quite an extended comedy bit.
We're not done. My raccoon just knocked over the compost and ate a bunch of stuff and then ran away.
All right.
And left a big mess.
You should call the caps
on the porch.
Call the caps next time.
Does that mean order a bunch of baseball caps?
I don't really know. I don't.
Okay.
I don't really know.
All right. What else is going on? Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Well, yeah, we have a regular listener. I want to do a shout out to Finally Free Monster. We have a regular listener, Finally Free Monster, loves the podcast. And yesterday was a Sunday. We're recording this on a Monday, by the way, in case you guys don't know what order the days fall in each week. This is a Monday, which is the day after Sunday. Our podcast comes out to the public on Sundays.
Yes.
And Finally Free Monster left a comment on my Discord saying, no podcast today? And then I checked on the podcast app and it said it was released in the morning. Turns out for some reason, they did not see the notification.
What?
Yeah. But then he reloaded and it was there.
Oh.
Yeah. So everything's fine. So just little shout out to Finally Free Monster. I hope this episode was released to you, Finally Free Monster, especially since we're spending so much time talking about you.
Yes. I remember the early days of YouTube where, you put out a video and people got notified. It was magical. It's like, how does this happen? How does this work? This can't possibly continue to work.
And then
every once in a while it would stop. It's like, oh, it's all over. Honeymoon's over. The whole thing is done. I quit. Mm-hmm. I can't believe I put all my resources into this job. What am I doing?
You're basically describing Mediocre Films 2023 is what you're describing. I have 1.7 million subscribers. I put out a video. It gets seen by 3,000 people out of 1.7 million. I don't think the YouTube system is working the way that it used to.
Well, yes, that's true. But also, Greg, to be fair, there's a lot more people on YouTube now. A lot more people putting stuff out on YouTube.
Well, who invited them? I mean, I certainly didn't invite.
True.
I liked the early days when it was just you and me and a few other people.
It was us and two other people, I think. Rhett and Link.
What is the highest you ever reached, like on the most subscribed chart?
I remember that. What was that? Video Stats X or something. There was a website that tracked everything.
VidStats X.
Does that still exist?
No, they went out of business a long time ago.
Oh,
but I used to check them every week.
Yeah, I would check that because there were fewer people making videos, so I was higher on the charts. At one point, I was higher than Oprah's YouTube channel because she started much later than I did.
Yep.
I think I was in the top 200. It was the highest I ever got.
The highest I ever hit was number 27.
Wow.
I know. You're talking to the number 27 most subscribed YouTube channel.
Wow.
I mean, not now. Now I'm like 4,000 or something like that.
I was in the top 200. It's probably. Is there a site that tracks it now? There probably is.
Maybe. I have no idea. But I know that I'm way off the charts now because I just don't upload videos anymore. What are you going to do?
Social Blade is a site.
Got it. Are we finished talking about Finally Free Monster now?
Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah,
that part's done. Are we finished talking about Dave and the raccoon having sex in my backyard?
I could talk about that forever. But
yeah, I could too. So basically,
should I ask AI what it thinks about that?
Yeah, you should do that. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let me just say this. I do not have a neighbor named Dave and who dresses up as a raccoon. I made the whole thing up. Even though I promised it was real, I was lying about that too.
Greg, why are you ruining everything?
I'm not ruining. I'm just
suspension of disbelief. It's called suspension of disbelief.
I understand that. But I love our listeners and I want to thank them for their curlumstum by copying to it.
They're what?
They're curlumstum. Just look it up. And
okay.
But thank you for your curlumstum, everybody. And I want to thank you for that by being honest with you and telling you that was a made up story. But the only true part of it is one time about 2 years ago, Kim and I did hear an enormous hullabaloo in the backyard. You ever hear a hullabaloo in your own backyard?
I have.
Yeah. Well, there was
we had deer in our backyard.
Okay. Once. All right. So I think you know what I'm talking about. But there was an enormous hullabaloo. That's a type of racket, if you will. A racket, a hullabaloo. What's another word?
Yeah.
What's another word for a cacophony of sound?
A to-do?
There was a big to-do going on in our backyard.
Yeah, okay.
And we went out in the backyard and we did see two raccoons having sex in the back, but it was violent.
Fun.
And that's the true part of the story. And then we clapped our hands and we're like started yelling, and then they dispersed, and then they ran over the fence. But they really do rip up the grass. When you have raccoons having sex in your lawn, they rip up the grass. They go nuts.
That's really good to know.
And I will tell you, as many times as I have had sex in my life, I have never ripped up grass during sex.
Yeah, well, good for you. It sounds like you're very, I don't really want to describe it. I don't.
Come on, I'm a gentle lover. I know what you're going to say. I'm a gentle lover. You know, and that's what it's going to say on my tombstone. Greg Benson, a gentle lover.
He was a gentle lover.
It's not going to say loving husband and father. It's just going to say a gentle lover.
Okay, according to Social Blade, I have a subscriber rank of 1,225.
That's it? So, will you look up mediocre films? I would think that I'd be like 4,000.
You 1,162. You're higher than me, Greg.
Man, there's only 1,161 people who have more subscribers than me.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know how accurate this is.
Do you know what's hilarious about that? I don't think that my subscriber number has increased at all in like 2 years now. It's been just.
We also have a ranking. They have a grade ranking system. You have a B minus.
Mine's probably very low.
I also have a B minus.
No, wait a minute. You make videos and your videos get seen. I don't. How could we have the same ranking? I feel like this is bullshit.
I think it might be a little, but there's a ranking. There's also a Social Blade rank number, and I'm 500,000 something, and I don't understand what that means. And you're 600,000 something.
Okay, so hang on a second, because I'm pretty sure that there was a singer named. Speaking of ranking, I think there was a singer named Kenny Rankin. I'm looking him up right now. Apparently, Kenny Rankin was a singer. Lived from 1940 to 2009. Didn't even realize that he died. So rest in peace, Kenny Rankin. He was a singer-songwriter in the folk, rock, and singer-songwriter genres. He was influenced by jazz, and he would often sing notes in a high range to express emotion. I can't think of a better way to express emotion than doing that. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to take a look at his selected discography, and it turns out that I can't tell if he had any hits. You'd think that in Wikipedia they'd say like what his biggest hit was.
Yeah. Why are we talking about him? Just because I said
because you said ranking, and so I figure I would look up Kenny Rankin.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Of course it does. Three of Kenny Rankin's albums entered the Billboard magazine album chart. Most of his career was in pop music. He had a hit called "Peaceful" in the early '70s.
Isn't it interesting how some songs are super hits at one time and then they just disappear and no one ever thinks about them ever again, and other songs last forever? Why is that, Greg?
I couldn't tell you, but speaking of lasting forever, the Beatles last forever. We talked about the Beatles last week, and Kenny Rankin has a connection to the Beatles.
Okay.
So apparently, after recording a cover version of the Beatles song Blackbird, written by Paul McCartney, for his album Silver Morning in 1974, he was asked by Paul McCartney to perform it when McCartney and Lennon were inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Apparently, Paul McCartney liked his cover so much of the Beatles song Blackbird.
And he was feeling real lazy and didn't want to do the song himself. So
he's like, let me have Kenny Rankin do it.
Yeah.
Because his cover is ranking high on the charts.
Yeah. Oh my God. That made it all worth it.
Let me ask you this. What do you think Kenny Rankin's connection with comedian George Carlin was?
What do I think his connection was?
Guess what his connection with comedian George Carlin
was his cousin.
Incorrect. Rankin befriended comedian George Carlin.
Oh.
Both were signed to Little David Records. So starting in 1972, Rankin was offered the opening act or musical guest for Carlin's live performances. And the two flew together in George Carlin's private jet.
Wow. George Carlin had a private jet.
And
Does
look,
that make sense?
and this is how close they were. Although Rankin had overcome his own drug habit, he returned to using cocaine while on tour with Carlin. Now that's two men working together.
That's support right
Yeah,
there.
They're supporting each other. Let's do things together, not separately. And
you don't want to feel exclusionary. You
exactly. And speaking of being exclusionary, it's time for the Patreon only bonus section.
We will not be doing drugs during this bonus section.
No, but it is exclusionary because we are excluding the plebeians. Now we just go to Patreon, and it begins right now.
This portion of Two Guys Talking About Lettuce has been edited out for your listening inconvenience. If you wish to hear the complete, unedited version with the bonus talking, be sure to visit patreon.com/Two Guys Talking About Lettuce. And now, back to the edited, not as good version of the podcast.
And that's the end of the Patreon-only section of the podcast.
That was terrific. I really, we kept it all positive. We had a great time. Didn't go negative or sad. It was all positive.
We did continue with positivity in our voices. So
well, that's true. I mean, sometimes if you talk about dark things, but you talk about that in them in a fun-loving way, then it makes the day brighter.
Negates the whole thing.
Oh, you watch your language.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Well, then why did you say it?
Why did I know that?
You know what I was thinking about? Do you ever play fantasy football?
No.
Well, I got to tell you something. I hadn't for years, and I'd heard all about it, and finally I'm like, I'm going to try it out. And I got to tell you something. It's actually so much fun, and my favorite thing about it is just all the knights and dragons. I mean, because in regular football, they don't have those things. But you add those fantasy elements, and it is so exciting.
Okay. No. Are you playing a game? You're actually playing a game?
The quarterback, he gets the ball, and he's running with it or whatever, the linebacker, I don't know what they're called, and then the dragon comes out and breathes fire on him and burns him to a crisp before he makes a goalie or whatever. Yeah. I don't know what it's called. Before he makes a home run. I don't know. I don't know much about sports.
Yeah. It does sound like you don't.
But one team, they're all knights and they're all wearing armor and they throw the football, but they can't catch it because they can't move their arms.
No, you say you play this game. You play it.
I've been playing fantasy football. It's super fun. Super fun.
What position do you play? What do you do?
I play forward, full forward back. It's called the midsection forward back.
Midsection forward back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That seems like you cover a lot of area.
It's important to cover a lot of area.
Yeah. You don't want to be exposed. But the thing is, Greg, that's not. Do you play by yourself? Do you play with other people? Is this? Are there actual dragons?
Okay. All right. What you're doing now is you're putting me on the spot. Okay, and you've done this before.
I do this all the time.
Yeah, you do. You do this all the time, and I feel like you're pushing me until I admit that I don't really play fantasy football.
No. I want to make this believable. I want to know how this works.
I'm getting really upset here, Craig. I was just trying to do a bit with you. And
listen,
now,
do you actually watch any sports?
No, I don't.
None.
No, I don't. But I have a friend, coincidentally, also named Dave, who's a huge sports fan. He loves the Dallas Cowboys. And yesterday, I just happened to be on Twitter, and people were talking about the game. They were tweeting it live. And my buddy Dave knows that I know nothing about sports. So I get on my text, and I just start texting him things which, frankly, I don't understand what I was saying. But I was just taking tweets that people were doing and texting Dave because I know that he loves to watch the games and text with his other sports friends live sports fan friends, I should say. And so I was texting things like, Dak is in his bag right now, baby, and all the Eagles getting beat on the snap, and Dak on third down has been unfucking real. And you see the 2 clutch throws by Dak on that drive? And then I said, and how about Turpin scoring on the Eagles? That little guy is the bomb. And he just wrote back and said, how are you doing this? And I just said, haha, did you realize the Eagles just committed 3 penalties over their past 2 games? They're already up to 4 tonight. I have no idea what any of this stuff means. But
well, listen, Greg, I'm making a documentary about the Green Bay Packers, about Japanese Green Bay Packer fans. And
I remember you telling me that.
I finished.
You finished it?
Mostly done. Yes.
Now, was it difficult to find, what'd you find, like 3 or 4 Green Bay Packers fans in Japan? You found like 3 or 4 of them?
Yeah, well, there were like 20-something.
Yeah?
Actually. Yeah.
About 20-something, and it's just like, I'm just going to make a documentary about that. No, it wasn't your idea, right? It was somebody else's idea, and then you ran with it.
Well, someone else, a friend who goes to Japan a lot, came across these fans who meet every week and watch a game, and they're hyper fans.
And they love the Green Bay Packers.
They love specifically the Green Bay Packers. So he flew them to a game in Green Bay and shot video of the whole experience or got a couple people to shoot video of the whole experience. And then he was like, hey, do you want to make this documentary? And so I've been working on it for the past 5 years.
Wow. Now,
yeah.
I'm guessing this is not part of the documentary, but did you ever think of doing a section about why they chose the Green Bay Packers? Why they're fans of the Green Bay Packers? I bet that's not part of the documentary.
Huh. You know, that didn't occur to me. I probably should have asked that. Yeah. Huh. Uh-oh.
I mean, it seems obvious to me. It seems like that's going to be the number one question when people are watching the document. Yeah, but they never say why. They never say how they chose the Green Bay Packers, how they found out about them.
No.
Why they watch them.
That seems like an oversight.
How they get the feed to watch them.
You know what? You should make documentaries, because that's a sharp question you have.
Yeah, there's several questions that I have here.
Okay, what's another? Do you have another? Because I don't have an answer for that, because I did not ask them that.
Well, yeah, there was why the Green Bay Packers? How do you watch the games? How did you all find each other?
Yeah,
you know, and what's it all about, Alfie? That's another one.
I definitely didn't ask that.
Yeah,
because I don't know who Alfie is.
Well, it's from the movie Alfie. I've never seen the movie Alfie. It's a Michael Caine movie. I think it's the movie that made him a star.
Really?
It was like in the 60s.
They remade
or
it with Jude Law.
Did they really? So they used to say, "What's it all about?" Jude Law.
No. It's still Alfie. Jude Law's an actor, and he plays a character.
Apparently, Alfie is a 1966 British comedy drama directed by Lewis Gilbert and starring Michael Caine.
Yeah.
It was adapted from a 1963 play of the same name, but they don't say what the name was. Michael Caine.
Alfie is the same name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I didn't say. Okay. I'm pretty sure that this is the movie that made Michael Caine a star, but he might have done more stuff before that, but I don't know. How am I supposed to know? How am I supposed to find something like that out?
There's a wealth of information on the internet. There's a lot of places. There's IMDb, there's Wikipedia, there's Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm on IMDb, and all I can see here is a partial filmography.
Oh, a partial? Why not his entire
filmography? I guess he did too many movies.
Oh,
apparently, before Alfie, he had 2 other credits that are listed here: Zulu and the Ipcress File. I don't think he got famous from Zulu or the Ipcress File.
Well, on Rotten Tomatoes, there's the very first thing listed is A Hill in Korea. He played 1956. He played Private Lockyer.
So it just goes to show you, like a guy like Michael Caine, who, by the way, I believe that he just announced his retirement. Because after a while, you get kind of tired of doing movies. You get kind of tired of it. It's a lot of work.
Probably after many decades of it.
Well, yeah. Well, if he started in 1956 and then he had in 1966 he had his star-making turn. It might seem like, oh, this young guy just came out of nowhere. No, he'd been working for over a decade to getting parts and stuff.
Yeah. Well, When are you going to retire?
When I moved out to LA, I told everybody I'm going to give it 50 years to see if I can get, successful. And, and if I'm not successful after 50 years, yes, I did.
50 years.
And if I'm not successful after 50 years, I will retire. And I'm sticking to that. I moved out here in 1991. So if by 2041, I have not really made a success of it, I will retire in 2041.
Well, don't you think you have made a success of it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're not going to retire then?
Well, I mean, listen, success comes and goes. It might go away by 2041. Maybe in 2041, I'll be like, man, nobody wants to hire Greg Benson.
Yeah. So then you'll quit. So if they're still hiring you around 1941, yeah, I suppose if they're casting you as
2041. I can't go back in time to 1941. 2041 is like.
Okay. Well, fine. I thought you were a talented actor, but what kind of roles do you think you'd get at that time?
I would think that I would get roles suitable for an actor in his 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you think you'd play the Pope?
I might play the Pope. Yeah. I have played clergy before. I played a priest in a movie that was released a few years ago called Deported, and then I played a priest again in a new short film that's actually coming out like end of this year or beginning of next year called Bus Stops.
When people ask me about you and they say, "What's Greg like?" I usually say, "Priestly."
Yeah,
he's priestly.
He's like Jason Priestley.
I was gonna say that. Yes, he's like Jason Priestley. Yeah, 90210. He's like a high school kid in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, listen, that's what I get a lot of time. People a lot of times people walk up to me in the street and they confuse me for Jason Priestley.
Yeah. Well, listen. Because you asked, I'm gonna retire when I'm never going to retire. I'm probably going to continue making things until I die because otherwise I will be bored.
Yeah.
Because I don't really watch a lot of sports either. I can't just sit there and watch sports.
Here's the thing. Here's what you need to consider. It's possible that when you get older, you might not only be tired of working, but you might be like, damn it, I wish I had more time to paint trees and flowers.
No. I've never been into drawing or painting very much.
Maybe that's the time then you need to learn.
Maybe it's certainly possible I could do that, but I just can't imagine I will ever. I'll be doing that and I'll be like, "Oh, but I got an idea for a video. Think of the views."
Man, it's a certain point you stop thinking about the views. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
If Bob Ross never started painting, he might be alive today. Do you know that? He ended up getting cancer from the chemicals that he used from all the paint thinner. He would dip his brush in the paint thinner and slap. You got to slap it. And he'd slap it, and paint thinner, little particles would just go all over in the air. And he breathed that stuff.
Or is that just a rumor?
No, it is. It is proven. And he got cancer from all the paint thinner and all the chemicals. Not good.
Damn.
Not good.
Not good.
Bob Ross. God, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah. It would. If you ever meet someone who doesn't love Bob Ross, can you do me a favor? Can you punch them in the face?
You know what I do? Just in case they don't love Bob Ross, I always start by punching them in the face.
Okay.
Whenever I meet a new person.
Okay. Yeah. It's safe. Better safe than sorry. Yeah.
Better safe than sorry.
You might miss the opportunity because they're not going to be ready for it when you first meet them.
Exactly. No one's expecting it at the very beginning. But if they're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say something about how I hate Bob Ross, and then I'll get ready because they're going to punch me. No, I beat them. I beat them to the punch, as they say.
Yes. But have you ever met someone who you punched who then turned out to not like Bob Ross?
Yes, unfortunately, I have. I will admit that I will admit that I've done that, and I feel embarrassed, and then I always say like, "I'm sorry." What I usually say is,
No. They end up not liking Bob Ross, is what I'm saying.
I can't follow this anymore. All right, listen, I'm going to go ahead and since I'm on Wikipedia, I'm looking up Al Di Meola because I really don't know anything about him. I know he's a jazz guy. Didn't even know what he plays. Turns out he plays guitar. He's an Italian-American guitarist known for his works in jazz, fusion, and world music, and he's still alive. He's 69 years old, living in Jersey City, New Jersey, or not.
Jazz fusion is one of my favorite genres.
Is it?
I gotta say, no.
No, I don't know much about jazz fusion. I don't really. If I listen to jazz, I prefer traditional jazz.
Yeah.
I'll put on somebody like Bill Evans, or
I just don't like fusion. I don't really like.
how about fusion foods? How about if you go to like the Koji barbecue truck and you get some Korean Mexican tacos?
That sounds great.
I guarantee you would love them. It's
I just
so
don't
good.
like. I don't like labeling it as fusion. I don't know.
Oh my god! I can't believe that I've just looked up Al Di Meola randomly, and I don't even know his music. I've never listened to it. I just know the name. I'm like, let's learn more about him. I looked him up, and apparently he cites his influences as jazz guitarist Kenny Burrell and Greg Benson. How about that?
What? Greg Benson?
It might say George Benson.
Okay.
But it's basically
why
it's basically Greg Benson.
Why is it
G. Benson?
Why is there a gray area here? That it might say that? You're looking at the words.
I mean, I'm looking at it and it does say George Benson, but it's basically Greg Benson because it's the letter G and then Benson.
All right.
And that's my name. So I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just
But
saying
do
that
you play jazz guitar?
I have never played jazz guitar, but I somehow have influenced Al Di Meola. And Mr. Di Meola, you're welcome.
Is he still alive?
I'm glad he is. He's 69 years old, as I just said.
We should have him on. We should have him on the podcast. He can talk about how you influenced him.
Well, I got a surprise for you. Please welcome to the podcast,
oh my God.
Al Di Meola.
Al!
Oh,
welcome.
thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh my God, Al!
a pleasure
You
to be
sound
here.
like Kermit the Frog,
Oh,
Al.
no, this is just how I'm not a singer. I just play guitar because.
Okay, can you play us a little? Can you play us a few licks?
Oh, sure. Hang on a second.
Okay. All right.
Get my guitar out just a second here.
Okay.
I got it right here. I always have
That
it
is
with me.
That is a very interesting voice you have.
Yeah,
do you get comments on your voice a lot? Or
What song would you like to hear? I'll play anything you like.
well, play some your favorite jazz fusion.
Okay, here's a
Like,
little jazz fusion for you. Here you go.
Okay, it's very fused with other things. A lot of things fused together at the same time, right there. Ooh, that's avant-garde. I would call that. That's jazz
Okay.
for you.
That's part one of 17 parts. Here's
oh my
part
God.
two.
Okay. All right. Where do you get your inspiration for these songs?
Mostly from George Benson and Greg Benson.
Well, how so, though? How, who's George Benson, by the way?
George Benson's a jazz guitarist.
And who's Greg Benson?
He also sings. He sang "Give Me the Night."
Okay. What about Greg Benson? Who's that?
Oh, a comedian. You ever listen to that podcast of two guys talking about lettuce?
That's what you're on right now.
It's very good.
Actually.
What? I'm on it now?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I can't believe it. I'm so
What did you think
lucky.
you were doing? Where did you think you were?
Hang on. I'm on part 3 now.
Okay. All right. It's gonna take a while. We got 17 parts. Okay. That's not bad.
You know what I always
actually.
said? 17 parts is
Kinda
better than
relaxing.
17 farts.
Okay. I guess that's where you get your Greg Benson inspiration from. That comedy. That sardonic wit.
And that's the end.
Oh. Okay. I thought it was 17 parts.
Listen, I gotta go.
Oh, you're not listening to me.
I gotta go now.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Quick.
Wow.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Mr. Di Meola. Al Di Meola.
Wow. To the people watching the video version of this, we spare no expense.
Yeah, you got to see Al Di Meola.
Yeah.
Those people who are watching, they're so lucky. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Al
good.
Di Meola.
Good old Al Di Meola.
I've never thought about him in my life. I've never known he existed.
Well, now you know. I feel like we ought to do, since we're winding down and we're going to end this within like the next minute or two. We're going to end this podcast episode. I feel like we owe it to Al Di Meola to both open up whatever streaming service you use. I use the Stream Machine, and just stream some Al Di Meola music.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to go over to stream. I'm going to go to streammachine.com. You know what? You don't. He does, though.
Oh. What? Oh.
He spells it
Okay. I mean, others spell it when they type it. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't know what other people do. And I don't want to assume either what other people do. I'm not this.
Okay.
When you assume, you place an ASS before UME.
Yeah,
as
the
old
ume
expression goes.
plum.
Yeah.
The Japanese ume plum.
Oh,
Yeah.
delicious. It's Al spelled A.
I've already found it.
Huh?
So it's AL space DI space MEOLA.
Oh, you already knew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Good.
found it.
Good. You found it. Oh, you're good with the internet.
Well, I'm very average. I'm above average with the internet. Let's be honest.
I guess you probably, especially compared to all the old people. Old people aren't so good with the internet.
That's true. I'm not quite as good as a lot of the young people, but
I'll say this about my mom is turning 83 years old this month. At the end of November, she turns 83, and she's still going strong. And God bless her. She's been losing weight lately. She's in better shape, and she walks a lot. And my mom's doing good.
yeah.
And she's a good lady. Whenever she is trying to figure something out, and she always asks me and my brother for help, and I'm like, you're welcome to call us for help anytime that you want. But I keep trying to remind her, anytime you have a question that you want answered, put some keywords into Google. That's a good starting place.
Yes.
You know,
And that will
she's
answer
like,
almost all your questions.
Oh, I always forget. And I'm like, well, you got a smartphone with you at all times. You have a computer. You could either have the Google app, or you could open up Safari or whatever browser you want, and then just type in something, and then you'll find answers. I forget. You can find YouTube videos. YouTube videos will explain how to do things. Oh yeah, but it's literally something I remind her every month. Oh yeah.
Just go to Google.
One of these days, she's going to say, Gregory, she calls me Gregory. Gregory, I am so proud of myself. I was trying to figure out how to cut a tomato, and I didn't know, so I used Google, and they told me to use a knife, and so I figured it out all by myself.
I feel like she would know how to use a knife. I think that's...
Well, don't assume what my mom knows and doesn't know.
Okay.
I mean, she's 83 years old.
I'm sorry. I'm sure she's done some kitchen work in her life.
Oh, whoa! Look who's sexist now.
I knew that was going to be a response.
And that is the end of this episode of Two Guys Talking About Lettuce and saying sexist remarks about my mother.
Nope.
My name is...
Just saying.
My name is
her,
Greg
like any
Benson.
person could have done kitchen work.
And that's sexist Craig's Benzine.
No.
And we thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you all enjoy your Al Di Meola music and have fun tonight dressing up as a raccoon and eating chicken off your neighbor's plate. See you next week, folks.
Bye.